When I was a teenager, I used to construct a lot of scale models from companies like Monogram and Revell of ships, tanks, and aircraft from World War II. My favorite was the Monogram B-25 Mitchell bomber. And although I'd seen this bomber on old World War II movies like 30 Seconds Over Tokyo, I'd never seen one in person until 2014 when I went to the Reading Airshow in Northern California. I couldn't believe it. There it was, right there. I mean, this was the same type of bomber that was launched off the Essex-class USS Hornet in World War II to attack Japanese industry. The B-25 was a short-range medium bomber. It had a range of about 1,300 miles, but it was armed to the teeth. You can see in the nose a 50 caliber machine gun that was fired by the bombardier and radio man. There's also another 50 caliber machine gun just to the right of the Old Glory artwork. There was another one on the other side of the fuselage. The gun turret just behind the cockpit was armed with twin 50 caliber machine guns, and there was another gun turret on the belly just behind the bomb bay, which also could retract. It was 50 caliber machine guns, and of course the tail gun had twin 50 caliber machine guns. If you look at the little bombs decals on the side, each bomb indicates a successful bombing mission. And of course the artwork, which was adorned with just about every vehicle in the military, from Willys Jeeps to B-29 Stratofortresses, by the military personnel that operated the vehicles. In some variants of the B-25, the entire canopy of the nose, the plexiglass canopy, was removed and replaced with a shell. And inside they'd mount twin 30 caliber and twin 50 caliber machine guns, and sometimes a 75 millimeter cannon. And the reason they did this was because they wanted this bomber to be an integral part of strafing ships, troop columns, and tanks. Other variants included reconnaissance, in which the nose was housing camera equipment as well. In this view, you see two more 50 caliber machine guns, one on each side of the fuselage, embedded inside this window. The outer skin of the bomber was constructed of aluminum. The inside was stainless steel and steel, coated with zinc chromate, which was used as a rust inhibitor. The B-25 had two Wright, that's W-R-I-G-H-T, engines, R2600 Cyclone engines, that were rated at 1,700 horsepower each, and gave the bomber a maximum speed of 355 miles an hour. The cost of building each aircraft ranged depending on the manufacturing plant and the type of variant that was being constructed. $62,000, $76,000, and that was during World War II. Now here's a view of the exhaust ports of the engine just behind the cowling along the nacelle. The war effort called for all metals to be prioritized toward the manufacture of armaments. So civilians had to ration everything they had, including currency. Copper pennies were replaced with steel pennies. There were massive drives across the country to bring in tin and steel cans, paper, copper. There was even rationing of gasoline and food. Everything was needed for the war effort. Now here's a view of the bomb bay. The capacity of the B-25 was about 3,600 pounds of bombs. It could hold 4 500-pound bombs or incendiary bombs, and the U.S. Navy variant actually held a torpedo for use against enemy shipping. The B-25 had a tricycle landing gear, meaning that wheels would come out of the engine nacelles and one out of the nose. You notice the tail gun in the back. It was called the Mitchell in honor of Colonel Billy Mitchell, who prior to World War II tried to convince the armed forces of the United States that battleships were vulnerable to attack from the air. And he demonstrated this by dropping bombs and sinking a confiscated World War I German battleship. But the Navy was not impressed and did not listen until after the attack on Pearl Harbor, where several battleships were destroyed. After that, there was a mad rush to build more aircraft carriers. The history of the B-25 Mitchell bomber is extensive. I encourage you to research the history itself and to learn about all the different raids that these bombers were engaged in all over the world, including the Doolittle raid on Japan. If you like this video, please give a thumbs up and share it with your friends.